Welcome everyone to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. As y'all know, my name's Chad and take a dive in the world of sports. This is my NFL Week 14 recap video. This is where we kind of go over the game aspects and how well I did in my picks. And just kind of go ahead and spoil it out to you. I actually did halfway decent. And once again, did not lose any more than 7 games. Went back to my 9-5 mark, which seems to be a good medium mark for me right there. So, it's nice to kind of go there. Like I said, I had a couple picks. I kind of went on a limb, and some games I could have saw gone either way, and I went one way, the game with the other. So, hey, seems to be, the way I tend to be. And let you know, my son actually tied me as well, which is, really weird. So, but before we go into all that, if you could, go ahead and smash that thumbs up for me. Give me a like. It's, pleases you two gods. Helps promote this channel more, especially if you like this content and entertainment I provide you. While you're there, you can also subscribe. Like I said, I looked at my links before. I have a lot of y'all reviewing my work, and I love you all for doing so. But not many of you subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime. It actually helps me provide the content for your entertainment purposes. So let's just go ahead and review last week, and we'll go start off with last Thursday's action up there in U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, where the Pittsburgh Steelers were visiting Minnesota Vikings. And Delvin Cook came back early. I wasn't expecting him to return, but he is like, nope, I'm coming back. We're playing Pittsburgh. I'm coming back. And boy, did he. It's like the fourth time recently that there was a runner that had over 200 yards against Pittsburgh's defense. What kind of helped hamper that one, TJ Watt got injured during the game, so he didn't play for the rest of the game. So the Steelers' defense is missing, some aggression up there on the front line. And Dalvin Cook brought it to him. 205 yards, 2 TDs. Just flipping phenomenal when it comes to that one. But, well, before we get to the but, he was just, like I said, he was just phenomenal in that one, and he was doing everything he possibly could. The key receiver for the Vikings, Justin Jefferson, he was also very key. 7 receptions, 79 yards, a touchdown. Then KJ Osborne arose with 3 receptions for 83 yards, and one of them being TD. So he was definitely, these two were definitely very good, as well as having get Dalvin Cook back really helped the Minnesota offense jump up early. I mean, after the half, it was 23-0. Looked like it was going to be a runaway, but then the fourth quarter came, and all of a sudden, that's when the Steelers came to life. They were just driving and doing what they had to do. In terms of that, Najee Harris had 94 yards. Claypool had 93 yards. Big Ben had over 300 yards passing. So these guys were doing exactly what they needed to do towards the end, and it was questionable antics by Chase Claypool towards the end of that game. He got a first down. Pittsburgh had no timeouts at this time frame. So it was late in the fourth. They were scored 21 points already this quarter. And they were down 36-28. So they needed a touchdown, 2-point conversion, tied this in overtime. And Claypool, got a first down. And he celebrated the first down instead of running and giving the ball to the ref or the center to place the ball so they can hurry up and spike it and make the next play. So they burned precious seconds off the clock. Claypool's excuse is lame and shows he only cares about one thing, and that's Claypool. He said, I got the first down. I did my thing. No. You're part of a team. I understand if you score a touchdown or if it's a first down, maybe, throughout the other 3 quarters. But when you're in the last 2 minutes of each half, you don't do your thing. You do the team thing, and you should run and give it to the ref. That's why one offensive lineman came running to him to get the ball, and the ball got knocked around, kicked around on the ground a little bit. So like I said, precious seconds came off the clock. So, you have that aspect. Ben was trying to go for broke. 3 seconds left on the clock. And he ended up throwing the ball to, I'm going to butcher his name, but Fairmouth, right in the middle of 3 Vikings. It was in his hands. He got hit. It came out. The game was over. Minnesota held on to beat Pittsburgh 36-28 to really tighten up those playoff positions, or not really playoff positions, but the playoff race for that last couple slots. Really, really tight. So we kind of see how this one goes from here. Then we head off to Sunday. The first on the docket is the showdown in Cleveland between the Ravens and the Browns. And we know a couple weeks ago, the Browns went down to Baltimore, and it was pretty much a defensive showdown. Both quarterbacks looked pretty terrible, except towards a couple of drives that Lamar had that put Baltimore over Cleveland. So we're kind of looking at the return aspect of this one, but unfortunately Lamar got injured on a tackle, so he got removed out of the game and didn't return. They're kind of hoping he'd be back for the Packers game next week. And so Huntley took over. Earlier on, it was pretty much the defense what was key in this one, and Baker did enough on the offense, put up 24 points in the half. And they're leading Baltimore 24-6, and looked like they were going just to run away with this game. But for some reasons, things changed. The offense couldn't do anything anymore. Baltimore's defense decided to show up, and they stifled and shut out the Browns in the second half. And I guess the Cleveland Browns defense got a little tired because they started coughing up points, started coughing up plays. Huntley started looking really good. And they were on the verge of a comeback. I mean, you're scoring 16 unanswered points in the second half with nobody really there to hamper you. Kind of, looks like they were trying their best to come out, but they just couldn't do it. They had a 4th and 6 play with a minute left, and Huntley was looking to throw to Bateman, who just wasn't. He didn't get enough yards for the first down. He only got 2 yards, so kind of make it a little hard to kind of get there. But it's just they were getting a key sack on that drive that pushed the Ravens back for 10-yard loss, or like 3rd and 20, and just trying to come back, and it just wasn't enough. Cleveland's defense finally clamped down and did what they needed to do towards the end of that game. And all in all, it was a very, very productive type of performance. Tucker did have a successful onside kick, which was kind of rare. In terms of the players, Huntley was very good. He's had 270 yards passing with a TD. We got sacked 3 times. We were kind of hurt. Andrews and Bateman were the key targets for that Baltimore offense. Both had over 100 yards receiving. The Cleveland rushing attack just pretty much disappeared. It was a combined effort by Chubb, Johnson, Mayfield, and Hunt for 100 yards. And it's just, things just kind of went south pretty badly. Huntley did have 2 fumbles, so that did kind of hamper some things as well. And Cleveland overall had 4 sacks, would kind of help stifle some things. Clowney actually had 1.5 this game, so he's making his presence felt. He couldn't do it last time. He got frustrated because Lamar was a little too slippery for him. But he was able to get Huntley, and Baltimore was able to hold off that late that late Baltimore charge and hold on to win 24-22 to tighten up that AFC North race. Then we head down over to Nashville, where the Titans playing host to Jacksonville, and Jacksonville is a franchise in disarray. It's recent reports out of Jacksonville pretty much saying that Urban Meyer is saying that he's a winner. It's not his fault the team's losing. It's everyone else. You're the flipping head coach. You're the leader of that franchise. You hired that staff. You brought in players. If they don't perform, it's not their fault. It's your fault. That's the title of being a leader. If things go wrong, it's always your fault. If things go right, it's they did it. And you can tell at the end of the game, he just didn't want to be there with that haphazard handshake he had with Vrabel. And it pretty much stemmed through this one. Trevor Lawrence was an unfortunate circumstance. It looked like a perfect marriage between Meyer and Lawrence in the NFL. And it's turned into a nightmare. Tennessee stifled Jacksonville throughout the game. Offensively, the Titans couldn't do much, really. They did score just enough to get what they needed to. They got the 20 points throughout the game. But Trevor Lawrence spent more time on his back and thrown to the other team. He had 4 interceptions in this game. An awful performance by Jacksonville. They got shut out 20-0. And I think the Urban Meyer experiment will be done at the end of this season. I just hope so. Then a showdown in the AFC West between the Raiders and Chiefs, or they not long ago went to Vegas and just obliterated the Raiders. And unfortunately, it's going to be pretty much the exact same thing again. It was just Kansas City was all over Las Vegas early. 35-3 at the half. The game was pretty much over. So they really didn't do much the second half, and it was just a awful experience for the Raiders. And, there's some things that has to be done with that organization in the offseason as well. And Kansas City just walloped them 48-9. They continue rolling, and they're performing right now. It's pretty much right now it's the Chiefs' defense is carrying this team, and the offense is sputtering. So, something switched in Kansas City. Maybe somebody switch out the water, start getting Gatorade instead of water, or vice versa. But right now it's the defense that stepped up, is carrying this team. And the offense is just kind of inept, but I have a feeling things will just turn around. Once all pieces of this Chiefs team is working and gelling and the gears are all and they're moving in the right direction, it's going to be a hard team to face off in the playoffs. And then we had the Saints going up to face the Jets. And in this game, I did go on the limb and pick the Jets. The Saints are just one of these teams. It's kind of really hard to kind of, pinpoint exactly what team this is. Like many teams this year, there's a Jekyll and Hyde. You just don't know which version is going to show up. You don't know it's going to be, the Mr. Hyde that's clean cut, that does what he needs to do and moves on, or Jekyll that's just, just complete chaos and has no clue of what's going on. But in this instance, it was very much the Saints all day long. Alvin Kamara was back, and I think that was the key aspect. Having that weapon back for the Saints really helped them out, especially Taysom Hill. So with Kamara back and Hill actually doing what he needed to do, because now he's got something else in his corner, the Saints just ran over the Jets 30-9 to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. In a key NFC East showdown in the nation's capital, as the Cowboys visited Washington, for the first time ever, the Cowboys brought over their own benches to place in the stadium, which is kind of unheard of. But I think taking that swagger and doing that, and the Dallas defense just stepped up. I mean, they were on point. Michael Parsons was all over that backfield, getting sacks, strip sacks. As Dallas forced 4 turnovers in this game. You had a scoop 6 that went back there, but Dak is not living up to the hype. He still had a very solid performance. Don't get me wrong. He's a very competent quarterback, especially when you have all his pieces around him. But it's just something with this Cowboys offense that's just not firing. They're misfiring. It's a very a astute engine that you have in that offense. When you got Dak, and you got Zeke, and you got Amari, and you got CeeDee Lamb, and you got Pollard. There's some great pieces there, and this engine looks pretty and sounds nice, but it misfires. And there's some things that's happening with that offense that shouldn't be happening, especially with the caliber of talent on this offense. As the defense is stepping up and start to make statements, taking over games when they have to look over some of the miscues that on defense or offense is doing, because Dak was doing his darndest to give the Washington a chance. They were trying to, and it was a late almost sack of Heineke, but he ended up fumbling it. His arm was going forward, but before it go to the right particular spot to be considered a forward pass, the ball was out, fumbled. Dallas recovered. That was it. Dallas held on to win 27-20. Then we head down there to Charlotte as the Panthers playing host to the Falcons, and the Panthers right now are just a mess of a franchise. Don't have a running attack. McCaffrey's gone. The quarterback situation is abysmal. Sam Darnold, they brought in, is injured, is gone. Bring back Cam Newton. He's good for one play, for one drive. And then P.J. Walker just can't seem to find the right chemistry and whatnot. It looked good for Carolina the first drive. Cam took down and scored it himself. But after that, it was all Falcons. And it beaten Carolina 29-21 to keep their slim playoff hopes alive. Then Russell Wilson brought the Seahawks down to H-Town, take on the Texans, another franchise that's going to be doing a lot of soul-searching in the offseason. And it was Seattle early and often. But for Houston, Mills actually showed some promise, so he might be a quarterback of the future for the Houston franchise. Possibly. He had 331 yards passing with a touchdown, but it was pretty much a penny for the Seahawks rushing attack. 137 yards, two TDs, as the Seahawks rolled over the Texans 33-13 to try to keep their playoff hopes alive as they're only a game out. And then off to Denver, and they're playing host to the Lions. And this was a very emotional time frame for the Denver Broncos as a prominent feature of the Manning area. Super Bowl runs. One of his key receivers, Demaryius Thomas, ended up passing away not long ago due to unforeseen medical issues. And it struck a nerve really with everyone in the NFL, especially those who knew DT. And for Denver, they kind of did a very astute performance when they first got the ball. Pretty much something you would see law enforcement or something like that, where they only lined up 10. Left one man off, which is supposed to represent DT. So they got to, of course, to delay a game because they didn't have enough players, so they didn't do it. Because like if you do a last guard mount, you call off the guy who's no longer with you and kind of say he's not here. So fitting tribute, basically. Of course, the refs have to call it. Detroit did the right thing, not accepting the penalty, and they moved on. There was a fitting moment between those two that time frame. But Denver used that as a catalyst, and they just took it to the Rams. I mean, wasn't even. I mean, after the halftime, it was all Denver. They were all over them. Justin Simmons had a key interception because he was a teammate, same draft class with DT. He got a pick late. Took to the spot of the field where they put the painted the 88. And pretty much gave the ball to his former teammate. Touching aspect, Denver won 38-10, moved them up to 7-6, and could make some noise in that playoff push. And then you had the Giants visiting the Chargers. The Giants were out without Daniel Jones, and Chargers took advantage of this one early. Justin Herbert had 275 yards, 3 TDs. That was all Chargers as they went back on the positive end and beat the Giants 37-21. And then it's time to talk about a pair of overtimes. That's right, we had 2 overtime games. We start off in Cincinnati against San Francisco, and San Francisco was up early on the Bengals. I mean, it wasn't even close, but the Bengals just wouldn't go away. That fourth quarter, they scored 14 unanswered points, tied the game up at 20 all. To put the it's in the game in overtime. In overtime, the Bengals didn't get a touchdown, or not a touchdown, field goal. And then as San Francisco was driving, they were just doing what they had to do, just to get chunk after chunk after chunk after chunk, and just did what they had to do and scored a touchdown at the end to beat the Bengals 26-23. Besides Joe Burrow, almost 350 yards passing. But George Kittle was the beast. Over 150 yards receiving. It's like for 2 straight games now, he's had 300 yards total. So, I mean, that's just ridiculous. But yeah, 49ers over the Bengals, 26-23. And then Tampa Bay was playing host to Buffalo. So Tom Brady taking on a familiar opponent with the Bills, one of the teams he's had a lot of success with. And early on, the Bucs were doing what teams were doing against the Bills to win. Doing quite well. We're up 24-3. It looked like it would be a blowout. But hang on. Here comes the Bills. They charge back to send this game into overtime, 27 all. They had the first crack. They couldn't do anything in OT, but Brady had no quarrels of throwing the dart. The receiver broke free from the secondary, went to the house as the Bucs beat the Bills in OT 33-27. Then Sunday night, the Bears visit Lambeau Field to take on their one of their franchise owners, Aaron Rodgers, and the Green Bay Packers. And the Bears were up early on this game. They had some things they wanted to do to kind of, get back into this, and they were like doing what had to do. Grant had a 97-yard punt return. And as you saw, he received caught it on a 3, which you don't do. He goes right, whereas out to there, cuts back across, which is another thing you don't do. Broke a tackle, but along that left sideline, they had a nice white picket fence of Bear defenders. It ran all the way back, but Aaron Rodgers was just being Aaron Rodgers. He scored a touchdown again, and it was just all Green Bay second half. Aaron Rodgers had 4 TDs total, over 340 yards. And the Packers beat the Bears 45-30 to get that 10th win and be one of the elite teams in the NFC right now. And then Monday night, this was a stellar performance. This is the Rams team everyone expected to see from the start of the season. They came out firing. They came out looking to make a case that don't forget about us. We're here. Stafford had 3 TDs throughout the game. Basically, the standpoint was pretty much, Murray had over 380 yards, but he had no TD passes. Connor had 2 touchdowns on the ground. Murray had 2 interceptions. They were just led to 4 points by the Rams. It was Sam Darnold just making his presence felt in the beginning of the game and at the end of the game. And really, it's the end of the game that really kind of, changes the aspect. Once again, he had another successful onside kick, which was the 4th one this week. And they only had 4 throughout the season, so something's in the air for this week in terms of onside kicks. But as Arizona was driving, and they made this huge play, the longest play of the game, instead of running up and clocking it, poor clock management by both Kingsbury and Murray, they didn't spike it. They tried to run it, and it was like the line just didn't care. They just stood around, and Just a few players were doing what they had to do. Darnold came running in. He just kind of stood there, but he realized he wasn't going to get blocked. Murray's running around. He went back there, sacked him. That was it. End of the game. Rams beat the Cardinals 30-23 to dethrone the Cardinals as the number one team right now in the NFC. So that makes things kind of interesting. And like I said, I went 9-5 this week, so it's not that bad. So we got to take a quick look at the conference standings. As you look at AFC right now, number one team right now is still New England. Really shocked to see, being led by a rookie quarterback. You have Tennessee, KC, and Baltimore as your division leaders. But, Kansas City, Baltimore has some competition. And then your three wild cards right now are the Chargers, Colts, and Bills. But still in the hunt are the Browns, Bengals, and Broncos, which is really weird. And now you have three teams in the AFC already eliminated: Jacksonville, Houston, and the Jets. No one kind of, didn't think that was going to happen. So that race for those last, two positions is going to get really, really tight because you still got Miami, Vegas, and Pittsburgh still in the hunt. So it's going to be interesting to finish up this week. On the other side of the coin, the Green Bay Packers are now the number one team, followed by Tampa Bay, Arizona, and Dallas as your division leaders. Right now, the race in the West is getting a little tighter, as the Rams are right there, also 9-4. Also, your two other wild cards are the Niners and Washington. And you kind of see that the Lions is the only team in the NFC that has been eliminated. Of course, you only got one win, so of course you are. Somehow the Bears and Giants are still in it. Just go ahead and cross those two off. Don't see anything else really happening with them. So you still have Seattle, Carolina, New Orleans, Atlanta, Philly still in the hunt, as well as Minnesota. Once again, it makes those last couple of weeks really, really interesting when it comes to playoff races. Now I'll make sure I get the next video out to you guys on Thursday before the Chiefs visit the Chargers. And let's see if I continue my winning about 9 or 10 games. Be really good. Be a full slate of games. There's no more bye weeks. We also have games on Saturday, so it'll be a nice full weekend of NFL action. And I'll have to kind of give the insight into those games and provide my 2 cents, how much that's worth. About 1.75 cents. Thanks. I get to you next week. But let me know down below what game that you saw that surprised you the most, or which one you're more, which game are you looking for coming up season that you're really excited to see. Who you think is going to be the 2 number 1 seeds? Who's going to be in the Super Bowl? Like I said, my pick of Green Bay and Kansas City, they're still in the hunt, so we'll see what happens. Like so, leave a comment down below. Let me know. While you're there, you hit that thumbs up, give me a like. You can also subscribe. Once you subscribe, hit that bell notification so next time I post a video, and I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.